Hello everyone and welcome to the person behind the games with me, Kyle Blaine. I was tagged to do this by Jeff and Roger over at Games Played Terribly. Thank you, fellas. At least I think it was them that tagged me. Yeah, I think it was. And basically, if you don't know what this is a thing where Let's Players or YouTubers, well, I guess Let's Players, answer 10 questions about themselves. And I actually don't like using the phrase the person behind the games because to me, the person behind the games is the developer. So I'm going to do mine with the hashtag the person behind the videos because I'm behind the videos. I'm not behind the games. So let's go ahead and get started with the... I'm not going to call them 10 questions, really. They're just 10 things. I guess I'll try to formulate a question with them. Number 1, are you married? Do you have kids? Yes, I am married and I do have kids. I have been married for 7 years now. Yeah, we just celebrated our 7-year anniversary a couple weeks ago, actually. And then I've got 2 kids. One is 4, going to be turning 5 in September. The other one is 10 months, going to be turning 1 in September. And I just got the 10-month-old to bed and trying to record this really quick just in case she wakes up again because the wife has to get up early tomorrow. Number 2, what do I do for my day job? I'm pretty sure I've talked about this, especially on Twitter in the past. I'm actually the media director / communications director / IT guy at my church. I do all of the audiovisual stuff during the service, and I'm in charge of all those volunteers like camera people and stuff like that. I also do all the graphic design and web design and stuff like that. Really enjoy my job. I really love it. And usually when I talk to people about it, their responses, especially church people, they say, oh, well, it must be a big church. Well, we're a decent sized church. Like my position is an interesting one because it doesn't really exist at a lot of churches. And the churches that do have it, though, become so reliant on someone like me that it's hard for them to let it go. Because, I mean, I do a lot as far as like the weekly design of the bulletins, just anything graphical or computer related. I'm the one that manages it. They don't have to outsource it to someone else, and it in turn saves a lot of time and money. But anyway, so I love my job. I'd say the prominent thing that I do with my job is graphic design, which is my favorite thing to do there. Number 3, as you may have guessed it, is that I am a Christian. I mean, obviously, if I work at a church, I must be some type of religion, and I am, in fact, a Christian. It's not really something I necessarily want to bring up on the channel because that's not necessarily what this channel is about, although that does play into the reasoning for my channel being family-friendly. But that's not something I necessarily, want to discuss. Unless you have questions about it, then I'll be glad to talk to you about it. Number 4, I am a classically trained percussionist in middle school and high school, or it'd be better to phrase that as I was a classically trained percussionist. I went to art schools in middle school and high school and played percussion in the bands, and drums as well. I'm still doing drums. I don't do percussion as much anymore. I'll actually put a video up right here of my senior recital doing a xylophone solo. It's actually pretty impressive. I look at the music, the sheet music now, and kind of go cross-eyed wondering how I used to be able to play like that. Number 5, what were some of my favorite TV shows as a kid? It's hard for me to pick one, although I will say the one that always comes to mind first is X-Men, the animated series, or the Uncanny X-Men, or I can't remember what the actual title of it was, but the X-Men show from the 90s that was on Saturday mornings. It was just so good. It to me is the definitive X-Men television series. As well, 2 of my other favorites that are worth mentioning, Animaniacs, which is just classic, and Gargoyles, which we need a resurgence of that. Like that, I don't think that's on Netflix or Hulu or anything. If it is, dude, that'd be awesome. Let me know. I don't know that I've ever really looked, but Gargoyles is a show like I'd love to get my son to watch because he would love it. Number 6, what is my favorite game of all time? This is actually a really easy one for me to answer. Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. It was just such a good game. It was actually a game made by like a super team of developers and composers and graphic designers and stuff like that. So it deals with time travel and stuff like that. And it's just really, really cool. The thing I really loved about it is it's one of the first games, maybe the first for all I know, to implement a new game plus mode similar to what Borderlands does, where after you beat the game, you can play it again. But the difference is in Borderlands, when you play it again, the bad guys are harder. In Chrono Trigger, when you play it again, the bad guys are at the same level. And so you're playing it again just to get the story and to find things that you didn't find before. And there's actually a bunch of secret endings when you play it the second time, which is really, really cool. Number 7, how did I get into PC gaming? This is an interesting question to me because I grew up a Nintendo guy. Like, I had every Nintendo system pretty much except for Virtual Boy and a handful of the Game Boy variants. But other than that, I pretty much had everything. But PC gaming didn't come around for me until I think I was in probably 9th or 10th grade. And a friend of mine, Jason, was big into Diablo 2. And I was like, he showed me the instruction booklet and I saw all the buffs and skills and stuff you could learn. And I was like, this is really interesting. Like, I want to get this game because the instruction booklet is like 200 pages long. I don't know if it was that long, but it seemed like it. So I don't think I ended up getting that one at first. The first one I really got into was Half-Life 1, and subsequently got into all the Half-Life 1 mods, the most notable of which is the one you're watching now, Day of Defeat, which actually this is Day of Defeat Source that you're watching. This is technically the Half-Life 2 version of the Half-Life 1 mod, but still Day of Defeat nonetheless, which is a World War II mod. And so I got Half-Life, and my computer could barely run it at the time. And lucky me, the girl I was dating at the time had a dad who was big into computers, and I was the son he never had, so he actually built me a computer for Christmas one year, and then the following year upgraded my processor. It was really cool. So after that, I could play these games, really, really well, and I actually joined a Christian clan for Day of Defeat and Counter-Strike, though I was on the Day of Defeat team. I've always sucked at Counter-Strike. But anyways, yeah, so that's basically how I got into PC gaming. A friend showed me a Diablo 2 instruction booklet, and I immediately fell in love with the idea of how much more in depth the games were or could be. Number 8, what is some of my favorite music? I basically can listen to anything that's authentic, I guess is a good way to phrase it. Like anything I would listen to and feel like this band really made this themselves. Like they put themselves into this music. So I don't get into a lot of pop stuff because I just don't feel that from that. I also, and this kind of goes into why I don't like pop or country a lot, is I'm a band guy. I'm not an artist guy. Like I want to support a band. I want to listen to a band. I don't want to listen to a singer who has all these other musicians backing them up, but aren't getting the credit that they deserve. And I think part of that's because I'm a drummer and I'm in the background. So some of my favorite bands, really, I could just boil it all down to Coldplay and Mute Math. Probably all of my musical influences can be wrapped up into those two bands. In high school, though, I was really big into Dream Theater. I'm not as much anymore because they lost Mike Portnoy as their drummer, and the band hasn't been the same ever since. Not because it lost him as a drummer, but it lost him as a writer. He did a lot of the writing and composing for the band. But anyways, yeah, so that's the music I like. A lot of Coldplay, a lot of Mute Math, a bunch of other stuff too, but those are the two key ones. Number 9, another hobby that I really enjoy is board games. I'm big into doing some more out of the box or board games, and this has really become kind of a new thing in our culture. People are slowly learning that games like Monopoly is really, really dumb, and their brains are being open to the idea of playing things like Ticket to Ride and Settlers of Catan, which those are great. But my 3 favorites right now are Dominion, which is a deck building game, King of Tokyo, which is a cool game developed by the guy who made Magic, which I also play a little bit of Magic, and Dead of Winter, which is my latest board game purchase. It's a bit hard to find and kind of expensive, but man, is it fun. And number 10, just an interesting little tidbit about me. I sweat worse than anyone else in the entire world. And people laugh at me when I say that and say, no, I sweat a lot too. No, seriously, I sweat a lot. I helped my brother-in-law and his wife get married. I guess I should say sister-in-law and her husband is probably the better way to phrase it technically. But anyways, I helped some family members move up 3 flights of stairs to their apartment. And by the end, you could wring out the sweat. It looked like I had jumped in the pool. That's how bad I sweat. And the worst part about it is 90% of the sweat comes from my head, and it just drips all down my eyes and my face, and like, it's disgusting. It's gross. And it's why I hate doing things outside, or in just, if like we went over, oh, good example. I went over for a board game night a couple of weekends ago. If my brother listens to this, he's going to die laughing because he knows what I'm talking about. And it was hot because the kitchen and the living room are just really open to each other, and they were cooking. And so it just made it really hot in the house. And I've luckily found a seat by a little floor air conditioner, because I am dying, and I'm so embarrassed because I'm just dripping with sweat. Like, and it like gets in my eyes and it stings. Like, I will wake up in the middle of the night sweating with sweat in my eyes, and it burns so bad. It's awful. It really is the worst. And I have, it's gotten to the point where like I've done research to see if there's like antiperspirant shampoos that I could use, and sadly it doesn't really exist. So yeah, that's it for me. Now to tag a few other people. I'm not sure who all's been tagged in this, so I'm gonna tag 3 guys that I don't think have been tagged yet. One is Indomitable Fox, the other is DeSiggy, and then the third one is Dead Hand. You guys have been tagged. You have 2 days to pour a bucket of ice on your head, or something bad will happen. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you later. Bye.